Hi, just doing a quick review of my 4 hourly charts. These are the same ones that I've shown previous weeks. So you've got US crosses up the top, yen crosses at the bottom, and the inverse US pairs over this side. Looking at the Aussie US, last Friday we had the big spike up to risk on, or intervention as I'm thinking it was. The Aussie just consolidated up at this area, and non-farm payroll took one little drop in here. When you compare that to, say, the Euro US, we had that big spike up last Friday. It's done some consolidation. It came down into this point for the ECB announcement on Thursday night, took the drop, did some consolidation, non-farm payroll, and it's dropped down. This is the, I don't know, 2 year low, or 1 year low at 122.8, and it's just trying to hold there and just see where the consolidation levels are. I'm expecting to come back up and retest in around this range, and it's at that point that we'll see whether this support level is going to hold or not. On the pound, we see that it really struggled. This blue top represents the previous high range. It's really done some consolidation there. Leading into the ECB announcement, it did some dropping, and it was in this point here that the Bank of England announced that they were going to do further quantitative easing, did the drop down onto a pink line, which is a daily support line for me. It did some consolidation, non-farm payroll, it took it out. Now, what I found interesting was that on the non-farm payroll, the US yen, it did this one candle down of about 30 pips. Now that translated, Aussie yen took one hit down. It still managed to hold in a bullish formation. The clouds down here, moving averages are up higher, but that really took it out of the euro yen and the pound yen. They were both trying hard to hold support levels, which the US pairs hadn't, and bang, that was 100 pips, and that's 100 pips. So 30 pips on the US yen translated into 100 pips against the euro and against the pound. Now, this is the inverse nature of the US CAD and the Aussie. We see that we've had that spike up, it came back down. The Aussie had the inverse, there was some consolidation, and again we've moved back up into a support level. It's interesting that there was a consolidation in this area which the Aussie didn't really have. It spiked up and held it all the way through. You can see that on the US yen there's been lots of consolidation over the last 2 weeks, and this thin black line here is the 1995 low, and it's really just hugging that line there. I'm getting some bullish setups on it, but she's all over the shop, and I'm just treating that as being a consolidation area. I'll just bring up a couple of other charts now. So we've got the gold. This is the last Friday, earlier in the week. It held a trend line of going across the top here as a resistance area, and then it really did take it out of it on Friday night. This was the ECB Bank of England night, and where it had some volatility, but it still managed to hold. But non-farm payrolls, we were jumping around, $20, and ultimately finished the week down at that 1583 level. So she's knocked off $30-40 in a couple of days. We'll also bring up S&P 500. We see that this is also formed similar to the Aussie dollar. If I drop that back down, we can see how similar these two charts really can be. We can see that it both bounced off a daily support line, big bounce up last Friday, consolidation, took another jump up, stretched up, and then on the non-farm payroll had one decent candle back down, and now it's had some consolidation. The S&P 500 closes before this one in general. Now, just bringing up the DAX, which will jump into this spot here, and I'll just pull that back one level so that it's consistent with the rest of the charts. It has longer close periods, so it actually has slightly different moving averages because there's less candles, but as we can see, it's had that big bullish run from last Friday, consolidated, and it's held some sort of support there. So it's going to be interesting to see whether this level in here is going to hold. We're finished up on that high, which is early last week. And the last one that I'll bring up is oil, which will drop over here. And we can see that that's in that bullish sort of formation again, testing support. It's come down and testing a pink line. So it's going to be an interesting week. We can see in the comparison just how weak the euro and the pound are compared to, say, the Aussie dollar and to the Canadian dollar. Thank you. Hope that was of interest, and we'll see what develops next week.